For years, the relationship between Windows users and Linux has felt like a running joke. On one side, you have Windows users, confident, comfortable, clicking their way through familiar menus, laughing at the idea of typing commands into a black terminal window. On the other side, Linux users quietly doing their thing, often dismissed as nerds, hackers, or people who enjoy making life harder than it needs to be. Ask a typical Windows user what they think of Linux, and you'll often hear the same responses. It's complicated, it's not for normal people, nothing works on it, or the classic, why would I ever switch? And honestly, for a long time, that laughter made sense. Linux used to be rough around the edges. Installing it could feel like defusing a bomb. Drivers were a gamble. Software compatibility was a headache. And if something broke, you were expected to magically know which cryptic command would fix it. Windows users laughed, shrugged, and went back to their comfortable world. But then something changed. Quietly, gradually. And now, the joke is starting to flip. Imagine a Windows user who's been on the same system for years. They've upgraded from Windows 7 to 10, maybe to 11. And each upgrade promised better performance, better security, a better experience. But instead, the system feels heavier. Boot times get longer. Updates interrupt work at the worst possible moments. The system demands more RAM, more storage, more patience. The user shrugs it off because that's just how computers are now. Then one day, maybe out of curiosity, maybe out of frustration, they decide to try Linux, not because they're ready to switch, but because they want to see what all the fuss is about. They expect to laugh. They expect to uninstall it after an hour. They expect confirmation that Linux is still that weird, broken thing people on forums won't shut up about. The installation starts, and the first surprise hits. It's easy. No hunting for obscure drivers. No endless loading screens. No license keys. Just a clean installer, a few clicks, and it's done. The system boots faster than Windows ever did on the same hardware. The desktop loads instantly. No pop-ups asking to sign into an account. No ads. No recommended apps. Just a clean, responsive system waiting for input. The Windows user leans back and smirks. Okay, they think, it looks nice, but let's see how it actually works. They open the software store, expecting chaos. Instead, they see a clean app center with thousands of applications, most of them free. One click installs an entire program, fully licensed, no trial limits, no pop-up ads, Office alternatives, video editors, development tools, music players, all there. The Windows user starts to feel something unfamiliar. Curiosity. They install a few apps, everything works. No restarts, no registry errors, no missing DLL warnings. Still, they laugh it off. Sure, they say, but try gaming on that thing. This is where the laughter usually ends. Because Linux gaming used to be a disaster. Games barely ran, if at all. But now, with tools like Proton, Steam Play, and native Vulkan support, games just work. Not all of them, but enough to shock anyone who's been repeating the same old jokes for years. The Windows user installs Steam, logs in, clicks install on a game they've played for years on Windows, and it launches, smoothly, sometimes faster than before. Frame rates are stable, no stuttering, no random background processes stealing resources. The realization starts to sink in. Linux isn't struggling to keep up anymore. In some cases, it's pulling ahead. Then comes the moment that really changes everything. Updates on Windows. Updates are something you fear. They interrupt you, restart your system without warning, break drivers, or introduce bugs that weren't there before. On Linux, updates are simple, fast, and optional. One click, or one command, and the entire system updates at once. The operating system, the apps, the drivers, everything. No forced restarts. No hour-long working on update screens. The Windows user stares at the screen, slightly annoyed. Not because something went wrong, but because it didn't. This is supposed to be the complicated system. Why does it feel better? They start using Linux for real work. Browsing, writing, coding, editing, photos, even video editing. The system stays fast. Days go by without a restart. Memory usage stays low. The fans don't scream. The laptop battery lasts longer. And slowly, the laughter turns into silence. Because the biggest joke of all is becoming clear. Linux isn't the unstable, unusable mess they were told it was. It's the opposite. It's stable. It's efficient. It respects the user. What really gets under the skin of a longtime Windows user is control. On Windows, the system feels like it belongs to someone else. Telemetry runs in the background. Data gets collected. Features appear and disappear without consent. The interface changes whether you like it or not. On Linux, the system feels like it's actually yours. You choose what runs. You choose how it looks. You choose when it updates. Nothing spies on you by default. Nothing forces you into an ecosystem. That sense of ownership is addictive. Once you feel it, it's hard to go back. The terminal, the thing Windows users mocked the most, becomes another surprise. It's not scary, it's powerful. Instead of clicking through 10 menus, you type one command. Instead of hunting for settings, you directly tell the system what you want. The terminal isn't a requirement, but a shortcut. And once that clicks, the jokes about typing like it's the 90s stop being funny. They start sounding ignorant. Then there's performance on older hardware. This is the moment that turns curiosity into genuine respect. That old laptop that Windows struggles to run on suddenly feels new again. Linux breathes life into machines that Windows has effectively abandoned. The system is fast, responsive, and usable. The Windows user realizes something uncomfortable. They didn't need to buy new hardware. They were pushed to. Linux proves it. Security is another quiet shock. On Windows, antivirus software is mandatory. Pop-ups warn about threats constantly. Malware is a constant concern. On Linux, security is built into the design. Permissions matter. Software comes from trusted repositories. Viruses exist, but they're rare. The system doesn't treat the user like a child who might click anything. It trusts them, and in return protects them. At this point, the Windows user usually says something like, "Yeah, but Linux still isn't mainstream," and that's true. But the reason starts to look less technical and more cultural. Linux isn't pushed. It isn't advertised. It doesn't beg for attention. It just works, quietly, efficiently, without demanding anything in return. And for someone who's spent years being sold upgrades, subscriptions, and cloud services they didn't ask for, that silence is powerful. The final moment, the one that really flips the joke, comes when the Windows user boots back into Windows after a few weeks on Linux. Suddenly, Windows feels slow, bloated, distracting, ads in the start menu, notifications everywhere, background processes, doing who knows what. The same system they defended for years now feels worse. Not broken, just inferior. And that's when it hits them. They were laughing at Linux because they hadn't tried it. Not because it was bad, but because it was different. This is the change that Windows users laugh at Linux until they experience. Linux didn't suddenly become perfect. It didn't magically replace Windows overnight. What it did was mature. It became accessible, polished, powerful in quiet ways. And once someone actually uses it, not for 5 minutes, but for real life, the laughter stops. Because jokes are easy when you don't understand something. But understanding changes everything. By the end of this journey, many Windows users don't fully switch. Some dual boot. Some keep Linux for work and Windows for specific apps. Some go all in. But almost none go back to laughing. Because now they know, Linux isn't the punchline anymore. It's the plot twist.